Okay, so I'm on this 2011 Ford F-150. Got the 3.5 in it, I believe. I already know what the problem is, but I wanted to pop in the computer here and kind of take a look at what codes we have. And we got the P1780, P0111, P0504, P0573, and the P0111 intake circuit range, circuit high. We have circuit range performance error, circuit not in the self-test range, and brake switch out of self-test range. So it's all most of it's circuit codes. And anyway, I just wanted to pop in here and take a look real quick and see what it was showing, because after I fix this, I want to be able to clear it and make sure that these particular codes don't come back. And then we did get the problem solved. So anyway, he had this car or truck in his garage. He's had this problem in the past. I had just fixed this issue about a month ago, and then before I fixed it, the dealer fixed it a couple times. And he's got a problem with squirrels getting in under the hood and destroying the wires. So let's go under the hood, take a look at that real quick, and then I'll show you how I'll fix it. I don't necessarily, this isn't going to solve the squirrel problem, but it should solve our code problems that we have up and the wiring problems that we have. So let's go over there and take a look at that real quick, and then I'll show you how I'm going to fix it, and then we'll fix it and drive it and see if the codes don't come back. And alright, so this is right by the radiator here, and you can see here, hopefully, it's got little rodents on the tape here. Now, when he had this fixed the first couple times, he took it to Ford. And I'm not sure what repairs they did or what happened here, but they wrapped this whole truck in this rodent-resistant tape. And I think that might work for mice and stuff, maybe, but this is a squirrel I think we're dealing with. And I guess squirrels don't really care about your rodent tape. You can see they pretty much wrapped everything that you could see with this tape. Now our problem is over here along the firewall, and this is where he got us this time, this is the same spot he got us last time. And you can see here they wrapped this, they wrapped the one down there. Now this is wrapped, you can see back here it was wrapped with that tape, and it was wrapped up here, but they've since chewed that off and came after these wires. I think this is the third time they came after these same wires. And anyway, I'd already pulled off. I'd already pulled off some of the protector and some of the tape to get down to here. And looks like there's probably 4 or 5 wires that are disconnected, chewed off. I'm hoping it's just that. I'm gonna peel back even farther and just make sure they didn't just take a whole section out. But it appears like he got at least 4 or 5 wires here. So I'm going to fix this. I'm going to solder it, of course, but there's a few different ways to solder this or to fix it with solder, and I'm going to use the solder heat shrink slice connectors. And I'm going to kind of show you those and go over in case you don't know about those. The last time I fixed it, I just used regular solder and regular heat shrink. And it worked fine, but of course when they chew it up, they can chew right through that too. So the 2 wires I did fix are gone now, so we're gonna have to replace the wires, lengthen these back up, and I'm gonna use these heat shrink butt connectors with solder, and I kind of go over that and show you how that works and what it looks like, and then we'll fix this and tape it back up. I got a new wire loom fork to go over it, and then we'll tape that up, and then hopefully he can figure out a way to keep the squirrels out of his truck permanently. So anyway, I'm going to go in and we'll show you the slice cutters I'm talking about and how they work, and then I'll fix this, and then we'll give. Alright, so this is how I'm going to fix this truck. I'm going to use these heat shrink solder Splice connectors or butt connectors. These aren't widely used in the automotive industry, far as I know. Don't quote me on this, but I think these started being used in the marine industry, is where they kind of got their start at. At least that's what I heard and been told a couple times. What they are, I'm going to get one out real quick here for you. What these are is, this middle ring here is solder, and it's a hollow ring, and then you have basically like a waterproof heat shrink around it with 2 rings. And these are, from what I understand, used a lot in marine applications, boating, stuff like that. They're waterproof, they're super strong, and in my opinion, just as good or better than soldering 2 wires together and then getting like a regular heat shrink. And I'll kind of show you how they work. You know, basically what you're doing with these is you're kind of replacing this and then your regular heat shrink tubing, because like I said, this centerpiece is made of solder, and once you heat it up it melts, and it's basically like soldering the wires together. And then this is the heat shrink, and these are supposed to be waterproof. Now the ones I got here, I got these off of Amazon, and I don't know if these people still Cyanoxy. I'm not sure if they're still. This set's about a year old. I've been using these about 3 or 4 years, and I have never had a comeback with these. 100% confident in these for most applications on the car. These here, this particular brand, take a long time to cool down, but once they cool down, the bond is permanent. I've used other brands, and it didn't take as long for them to cool down and bond. But for whatever reason, these here, you got to really let them sit for a few minutes before you start tugging on the wires. So I'll show you how they work. Now I already did this one earlier today just to kind of show a demonstration. This is a thicker gauge wire. The wire I'm going to use to show you is like an 18 gauge. This is a little bit thicker wire that I used earlier today just for this video. I joined these 2 wires together, these 2 halves, and I'm a pretty big, strong guy, and it would take probably, I'm pulling on it super, super hard right now, and it's not budging. So, you know, this is permanent. If you can pull this gauge wire apart that's not soldered, then you can probably pull this apart. But this isn't going anywhere. It's waterproof, it's real tight, and it's good to go. So I'll kind of show you. I'll do this 18 gauge wire. All I'm going to do is just cut it in half, just so I can combine the 2. So I've already got them stripped back. Both sides are stripped back. I'm just going to grab probably this red connector. And all you're doing is sliding it into the connector. And you're making sure it goes past the center solder point. And then we're going to slide this side in and make sure it goes past the center solder point. So these 2 are, you know, both ends. This end is all the way down here, this end is all the way down there, and they're both inside this middle solder point here. And all you're going to do is just heat this up. Just take a regular heat gun or whatever you have, and heat this bad boy up. And you'll actually, when you go to the center and start heating it up, you'll actually see that ring contract around those wires and kind of get a liquid form, which is the solder. And once that thing starts getting kind of liquidy and it contracts around the wires, then it's probably good. Now this particular brand here, I usually let it sit a little bit longer. So this one's probably good. I can tell that it's the center is liquid now. So that's about all it takes. And like I said, on this particular brand here, I'm going to let this sit for a few minutes before I try to tug on it, because it seems like it takes a long time for this particular brand to cool down and to bond good. But when this thing does cool down, this is going to be a very, very strong connection, permanent connection, and it's going to be waterproof, and we'll be good to go. So that's how we're going to fix. That's how I'm going to fix this truck. What I'm going to go ahead and do is fix the truck, and I'll kind of show you. I'm not going to show actually fixing it because all it is just doing what I just did here. I'm going to combine wires, use these connectors, melt them together, and then I will tape them up, and then I'll replace the loom. Now you can buy wire loom from O'Reilly's. I bought the 1-inch. This is not what I bought. This is just what I have in my box, my electrical box. But I bought the 1-inch black wire loom to replace it because the harness that I'm doing is pretty thick, so I needed the 1-inch. It's really cheap. I got like 2 feet of it for $1 or something. So if you have an issue like this where your wire loom's damaged, go ahead and pick it up at the auto parts store. You can buy it like this, or you can buy it by the foot and replace that. And then, you know, I'll tape up the wires, and then I will after I do these connections, and then I will put the wire loom over it, and then I'll tape up the wire loom. Now that still won't stop that squirrel from doing the damage. If he wants to come back, he's still got to figure out a way to fix that. But anyway, here's that connection I just did, and you can see I'm going to pull on it pretty hard, and it's not budging. This isn't going anywhere. This is a permanent good fix. Anyway, this isn't like a biggest secret in the world in the automotive industry. There is a lot of people that know about it and use it, but I would venture to say that a lot of people that are in the automotive world probably don't know about it. So I'm just kind of bringing this out. I've been using them for about 4 or 5, probably 3 to 4 years maybe, and I've never had an issue with them. It's always been a permanent good fix. It's basically the same thing as using these two, except that it's all in one package and it's quick and easy, and you don't have all the issues. My biggest issue with soldering, I've been doing it for a lot of years, but your heat shrink will, if you don't get it far enough away from the heat point, it'll start to shrink on your wire, and then you can't pull it over, and you got that kind of thing going on. This kind of eliminates all that. I've been soldering about 30 years or so, actually probably longer than that. I used to solder RC cars when I was a young kid, so I've been around soldering iron my whole life, and if you're not real experienced with soldering, it can be pretty frustrating, and something like this takes it out of the equation. Now this isn't going to replace every single situation, but like a situation like this where we're going to solder in new wires and lengthen them and all that, this is perfect. So if you don't have a lot of experience with soldering, this is also, besides it being a good alternative if you do, it's also a great alternative if you're not real experienced with soldering. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Like I said, none of the auto parts stores around St. Louis carry this as far as I know. I tried to get some a couple years ago, and then I was in O'Reilly's yesterday, and I asked them if they had them yet, just out of curiosity for this video. And he said they do not carry it. They can order it possibly, but they don't carry it. So my source for this the last 3 or 4 years have been Amazon. The first kit I got that was similar to this, it would cool down and be pretty strong right away. Now this kit here, it takes a few minutes. So if you get something similar to this kit, let it cool down for a few minutes before you start tugging on the wire. Otherwise, it'll just pull apart. The solder doesn't, for whatever reason, the solder they used on this kit doesn't cool very fast, and it stays liquid for a long time. But once it cools, it's permanent. Like I said, you can see, these 2 examples. You're not going to pull these apart. So anyway, that's all I wanted to show you on that with these. We'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and fix this truck real quick. Well, not real quick. I'll go ahead and fix it right, and I'll show you the repairs, and then we'll. I got something else I want to show you too, real quick, before I cover those wiring looms up. It's also a common. This is a pretty common thing in automotive, but not everybody may know about it. So I'll show you that real quick. It's got something to do with electrical tape. So I guess that's about it on this. Like I said, your best bet's probably Amazon as far as pricing them out or getting them. So anyway, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and button that truck up, and then I'll show you that repair, and then we'll clear the codes and take it for a ride, and hope that none of those codes should come back. But I just wanted to make sure what we're dealing with here as far as the code, so that when we fix it, we know they're not going to come back, and we know we got all the wires. It looks like there's about 3 or 4 wires, but just in case he ate more off than I realized. That's the main reason why I scan for codes, in case there's a wire I missed or something like that. So I'll probably go ahead and fix all the wires and take it for a drive first before I put the loom back on, just to make sure he didn't dig a wire out that I can't see. So anyway, I'm going to go do that, and then we'll pick it. Alright, this is the other thing I want to show you if you're dealing with something like this. This is off of something else, but if you see here, the insulation's cut back here, and the wire itself is still, the integrity of the wire is fine. There's still probably 98% of the wire is still there. But if you had this in a harness, it'd be very hard to pull this up and wrap it with tape. And all you're missing here is a little bit of insulation. Get yourself some of this brush-on electrical tape. It's a liquid, and it has a brush at the end of it, obviously. It's a little bit messy, but here's what it looks like. And this might be a little bit cold. It's kind of clunky. But if you ever pierce a wire working on wiring, trying to find a wiring problem, or you have something like this where some of the insulation's gone, but if this is buried kind of deep down in a wiring harness, and it'd be very hard to tape it up just as individual wire, get some of this and you know, just brush it on there and close it up, and then let it dry a while before you put the regular tape over it. And this works very well for that kind of stuff. Works really well. So especially, I use this a lot if I'm piercing wires to check for current or whatever on a short, or whatever I'm doing. I need to get into access to a wire, pierce a wire, hook up your scope. There's several reasons why you may pierce a wire on a car. I know some people say you should never do that, but that's not, those people have lost their mind, and that's not reality for 90, probably 5% of. Yes, you can sometimes probe into a pin or whatever, but piercing a wire, the way that if you have a good wire piercer, it's not a big deal. Wipe it with this stuff, and you're good to go. So that's just the other thing I wanted to kind of show, because I'm going to be using this. A couple of the wires out there, the squirrel or whatever, kind of nicked the wire, but the wire is still intact, 99.9%, and it's just a couple spots that I don't want to leave bare, and I don't want to just wrap the whole thing up. So what I mean, I will wrap it up, but I want to close up that particular little hole. I'm going to use this, kind of wipe it down, let it dry for a while, and then go ahead and tape the whole thing up and loom it up. So anyway, that's what this would be used for. Of course, you're not going to use this if you need to wrap a whole bunch of wire or whatever, but this is perfect for small things like this, or wire piercing, you know, things like that. So that's the other little thing I wanted to show, since we're doing a little bit of electrical here today. You know, a lot of people may not know about this too, especially somebody that's just starting out or whatever. So anyway, that's it. I'm almost done fixing the truck. I got, I think, one more wire to fix, and then we'll take it for a test drive and see if any of those codes. Alright, so here's all the wires I repaired. Looks like there's about 3 or 4 wires. Now I'm going to leave this open right now and clear the codes and take it for a drive and make sure that I got all the wires. I've checked it like 4 or 5 times. I don't see any other wires that are damaged, but I just want to make sure before I close this all up, because I don't want to have to go back in here and open up the harness after I tape it back up and put the new electrical sheathing on there. So here's the new wire loom I got for this truck. This is 2 feet. We won't use that much, of course, but like I said before, this is 1 inch, so this is big enough to go around that harness. And then on this mouse tape that's already on there, I just kind of peeled it back. I didn't take it off. I peeled back, and it's kind of underneath here. I should be able to pull most of that back up and rewrap it. So we'll just do the best we can do with this as far as the mouse tape and all that. But we definitely have enough wire loom to go over this. And I'll kind of tape all these up together, put the wire loom on, tape that up, and then it's just a matter of keeping the squirrel or whatever it is out of here and away from this. So anyway, I'm going to go clear the codes real quick, and we'll take it for a quick test drive. Then I'll come back and we'll tape it up and kind of finish this video out. Hopefully you know, someone wants one of these kits or something similar to this, hopefully it helps you to fix any kind of wiring problem that you may have. And always get the right gauge wire for whatever wires you're fixing. This is 18 gauge, which is what all those wires are right there. Most of them. There's some bigger ones down deeper, but the rodent didn't get down into that area, so we got lucky there. And I just use a regular old Harbor Freight Bauer heat gun. I've had a Craftsman one for years, and it kind of went to the big heat gun heaven in the sky, so I got this one. The Bauer one works pretty good. I haven't had any trouble with it. I've had it about 6 months or so. I use it quite a bit, and it works well. So anyway, that's all you can use. You can also use a small torch if you're careful, whatever. But I prefer using heat guns. It's more controllable, especially in tight areas. So, and then I'm going to probably put this stuff back on. This is the factory stuff. This here, one of these. Yeah, this has got some real thick padding type stuff. So I'm going to try to put all that back together the best I can to try to help prevent some of this. So anyway, clear the codes. Alright, so I just got back from the test drive and none of the codes came back. No check engine light or anything, so I think everything's good on it. I went ahead and put that wire loom on it and stuffed the wires in there. So now I'm going to tape it up real good, and it's not going to prevent the squirrel from coming back or chewing through it, but regardless, even if you put this wire loom on, you still want to put tape and tape it up so that it doesn't fall off or whatever. And so that's pretty much it on this. Pretty much made this video just to kind of show people that don't know about those connectors that there's options out there besides a soldering iron and actual solder. I have no problem using those connectors on a car like this, especially up here where there's really nothing should ever really affect it. The only reason we're even working on this is because of rodents or whatever. So anyway, I think that's about it. If you have any questions about those connectors, I don't really remember where I got those. I've had those a couple years now. I don't go through them a lot real fast. I mean, you know, usually when you do wiring or whatever, it's not because something got chewed through. So, but they do come in handy for all kinds of different applications. So I keep them around. I would just go on Amazon and look for them. Not necessarily that brand, but any brand, and it all should work pretty good. So anyway, I guess that's it. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one, and I guess have a good day, and as always, God bless.